Good evening. My name is Dr. Bill Tulo, Medical Director with Oculus, and welcome to the Business of Myopia Management with Dr. Nick Despotidis. A little housekeeping before we get going. Questions could be inserted into our chat box, and we have left time at the end to answer your questions. I'm really excited about tonight's webinar. Dr. Nick Despotidis is one of the largest practices in the country specializing in myopia management. He's the lead author of two books, My Children Are Nearsighted Too, and A Parent's Guide to Raising Children with Healthy Vision. His workshop, Supercharge Your Practice, is the most sought after practice management course offered at the Vision by Design Symposium. His TEDx talk, A Childhood Disease Worth Preventing, educates parents on the growing number of children affected by myopia and possible treatments available to them. So with no further ado, I want to introduce you Dr. Nick Despotidis. Nick, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Cutullo. I really appreciate the opportunity that Oculus has given me just to talk about my experience with myopia management. I've been doing it a very long time. Let's see if I could get this going. Good. So a little bit about our practice is we have a single location practice in Hamilton Square. We opened up over 30 years ago, 34 years ago. And I practice in Hamilton Square, New Jersey. It's very middle, upper blue collar working class. We have one location, and what we're most proud about is we have a lifestyle practice. And I think this is important because when I speak to younger optometrists, eye professionals, they are already talking about selling their practices. And we built a practice on this myopia management that I would hope to do until I'm no longer able to do it. We dropped vision plans over 20 years ago because they were becoming too big. They were becoming a huge part of our practice. I've seen clinical patients just 3 days a week, and the rest of the week I either work on the practice or enjoy my family, enjoy my personal time. We transitioned very in an orchestrated fashion from a commodity-based practice to a service-based practice. What does that mean? Our practice was built 30 years ago on glasses and soft contact lenses, and we knew that was a problem, and we're going to discuss that very shortly. And we're very, very happy, you know, we worked hard to be happy. It doesn't mean that every day is a bed of roses or every day is not Disney World. As a matter of fact, most are not. But overall, my staff has been with me a long, long time. I have several partners. I have right now, we have a practice of 4 partners. Dr. Tannen and I started the practice 34 years ago. Dr. Lee joined us 20 years ago, over 20 years ago. And Barry's son, Noah, has recently joined the practice, and now he's buying into the practice. So we have 4 partners in one location. We also have 2 optometric residents. We are a certified residency program through Southern College of Optometry, and the residency is based on vision therapy and practice management. So we have 6 ODs in one location, and we're all full-time. So I want to start this talk by quoting Mario Andretti, because I think it's very relevant to what's going on in eye care today. He says, don't look at the wall. Your car goes where your eyes go. And I think this is extremely important for us to acknowledge, is that we have several walls disguised as opportunities in optometry and in eye care in general. We hear maybe we should be doing nutraceuticals for dry eye or macular degeneration, perhaps genetic testing. We feel we should probably have a dry eye center of excellence. So we may do punctal plugs and meibomian gland analysis and expression. We should fit scleral lens because that's what we hear we should be doing. And NeuroLens, perhaps with fixation disparity and vision disorders at near. We should get better at billing and coding, and we hear that a lot, medical billing and coding. And of course, we've been inundated with information over the past 2 years, especially since the pandemic, on myopia management. And this is the kicker of them all. We should also consider doing presbyopia management now that there are drops like pilocarpine available to do this. And I bring this up because I have learned long ago, I can do anything, I really can, but I can't do everything well. And I think the reason I'm most successful with myopia management is many, many years ago, I devoted myself to that, to focus just on that. And all these other areas of eye care, I view them as distraction. And to be honest with you, it's a relief when I see ads for Vuity and Neuralens and all this stuff. I either refer it out or I may have a partner who does dry eye. But for myself, I don't concern myself with it. And I really do think that's one of the keys to our success. So before we talk about the true business of myopia management, we have to discuss why doing it. Because if you're doing it just for monetary reasons, I think there's easier ways in optometry and eye care and ophthalmology than myopia management. We started our practice in 1988, and this picture was taken in 1992. Literally 30 years ago. And we were in business 4 years. And there's a Ninja Turtle to Barry's right, and the mayor of our township is to my left. And we're so damn happy because 4 years into opening cold without a record, we're still in business. And we were doing pretty well. At that time, our practice looked like this. 4 years into our practice, most of the revenue, almost all the revenue, was from eyeglasses and soft contact lenses. And very, very little revenue was generated from exams. And the specialty care like myopia management, even vision therapy at the time, did not exist in our practice. So even though monetarily we were doing well, we kind of saw some light at the end of the tunnel. We say, listen, we're going to make it in private practice. And people told us you'd have to sweat for 5 years before you make any money. And here we are 4 years into it, and we were what we would consider successful. Now, fast forward 30 years, we worked extremely hard. That's what this webinar is about, to change that completely around. Now, the majority of our practice, 70%, is specialty care, specifically myopia management or OrthoK and vision therapy. We also systematically dropped several vision and health plans. So our exam fees went up. So now we have increased revenue on services that we provide as opposed to commodities like glasses. And about 4 years ago, before the pandemic, we stopped selling soft contact lenses. It's not that we can't fit soft contact lenses, of course we can, but there's nothing special that I can do with a soft contact that probably you can. The same goes with glasses. And I am telling you, it's a constant fight between partners whether we should close a dispensary or not. It's not because it's not profitable. It actually is profitable. It's a distraction. But we're old school. We built our business on a dispensary, and for some of us, it's very hard to let go of it. So why would you consider a specialty like myopia management? Well, there's a lot of pain involved with not. It's that we had a very good medical-based optometry practice, and through the years, I'm talking about at least a decade or more, our reimbursements were slowly getting reduced. We would get audited, and just I feel constantly nervous about these audits, even though we did nothing wrong. Maybe we made mistakes like everybody else, but I remember that nervousness within my stomach. And the worst part about, in our opinion, is accepting insurance and vision plans is we felt like employees. I opened my practice for autonomy, for decision-making that I can control. What started to happen is I had to accept fees that insurance companies were reimbursing me. I had to increase the volume to keep our net up. And I had to be accountable with these audits that just seemed nothing more than warnings like we're watching you. Why myopia management? Well, there were several services like OCTs that we used to provide. And overnight, a monocular procedure becomes a binocular procedure. And our fees would get reduced in half, literally overnight. Punctal plugs from 2018, just 4 years ago, to 2021, literally almost the reimbursement went in half. This is at a time where everything costs more and our reimbursements are going down. And what this workshop is about, or what this webinar is really understanding that when we made decisions to drop insurances and vision plans, it was not easy. We're scared to death, but yet the writing was on the wall. We had to change. If we didn't change, we'd have to work more, we'd have to work harder for the same net revenue. There's other whys. Why myopia management? My wife, who wears soft contact lenses, is constantly getting emails from Hubble contact lenses. Why? They're owned by Procter & Gamble. They know how to market. They certainly know a lot more than I do as far as marketing contact lenses. So do I want to deal with this head on? Do I want to sell yearly supplies? So about 4 or 5 years ago, we said, the hell with it. I'm not even going to dispense soft contacts. Again, we were making net revenue, but that revenue was dropping. The writing was on the wall. Warby Parker's doing such a great job in marketing eyeglasses. My son, both sons in their 30s, go to Warby Parker. It's easy. They sell you 5 pair of glasses. They donate a pair if you buy a pair. You take your PD through your cell phone camera and your credit card. It's so darn easy. Do I want to go head to head with this, or do I want a niche where I know I could be the best I can be? So why myopia management? Why did I choose it over 20 years ago? I saw the writing on the wall and I wanted to improve my practice revenue. I definitely wanted to reduce my dependency on insurance plans. So today, I don't accept any medical plans. I don't accept any vision plans. As a matter of fact, we haven't accepted vision plans in over 20 years. Now, that took 30 years to do. We didn't do it overnight, but with the techniques I'm about to show you, you'll see not only did our revenue go up, our profitability went up, but also our joy, our happiness went up because our practice was no longer based on volume. It was based on the quality of care that I've always wanted to give. It improved the quality of my life, and I'll happy to say it improved the patient's quality of life. And it brings me tremendous fulfillment that I'm able to help pediatric patients in a very unique fashion. When I graduated optometry school, I did a residency in vision therapy. At the time, I loved working with pediatrics. I wanted to do something unique, help my patients uniquely. Myopia management allows me to do that. And again, uniquely helps our patients. Now, here's why it's a true niche. Even though you're getting clobbered in the head with myopia management ads and periodicals that we have to be doing this, and it's so true, there is an epidemic of myopia. Why won't most stick with it in the long run? Well, number one, you need an orchestrated fee presentation. And over the years, we developed it because we offered vision therapy. And I got good at offering a fee presentation that wasn't covered by insurance. We get lazy, we get sloppy, we get, I guess, overwhelmed. And when patients ask us, is it covered by insurance? We want to say yes, so we can move on. With myopia management, as it stands right now, it is not covered by insurance. So now, not only do you have to present your services, which you may not be familiar with, you have to be darn good at it. You have to be darn good at the services, because now you have to be better than everybody else who accepts insurances. You have to invest in equipment, because myopia management, to do it right, needs not only equipment, it needs high quality equipment. And it's a learning curve. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I'd say almost 24 years. And I'm still learning. I'm working so hard because technology is surpassing my knowledge. And it's not covered by insurance. And I'm telling you, that's why most people won't stick with it. So what is myopia management? Well, I've differentiated it between myopia control. I think they're two different things. And I think for you to be successful, you have to understand my mindset. What is myopia control? Well, it's treatments designed to slow down progression. That's what I view myopia control. And right now, today, there are 4 treatments that are used to slow down myopia progression, and one of them is not FDA approved yet in the United States. We have atropine eye drops, which is not FDA approved for myopia progression, but it's available. We have multifocal contact lenses like MySight, and possibly Ability in the near future made by J&J that may have it. We have eyeglasses which are not available. And of course, we have orthokeratology. So I view these techniques, these treatments, as myopia control. Myopia management is something totally different. I view myopia management as managing the family that's interested in orthokeratology as a treatment for their child to slow down the progression of their myopia. So I'm managing not only the whole child, I'm managing the whole family. And the reason I bring this up is I compare myopia, the epidemic of myopia with childhood obesity. There's probably not a family in the United States that doesn't know we have an obesity epidemic among our youth in the United States. And sure enough, they predict probably by the year 2050, half the children will be obese by 2050. So it's very similar to the myopia epidemic, where we predict half the world will be obese by 2050. Yet, we know some families, including my own, choose not to make it a priority. So you have families that eat organically, watch their children's diet, make sure their children get physical activity. You have my family, sometimes we feed our kids chicken nuggets when they were younger and pizza, knowing this, and maybe not having them exercise as much as we should. So there's a difference between knowing there's an epidemic and having the values that motivate you to do something. So just because there's an epidemic of myopia doesn't mean every myopic parent is going to want to do something about it. This is just my opinion. So what I do very well is I understand the conscious and subconscious needs of every parent who's interested in controlling their child's myopia. I know usually, not always, usually they're helicopter parents. They're highly educated, so they're always asking me questions. They're always keeping me on my toes. They're also guilty parents. A high number of my parents, of my pediatric OrthoK patients, have had LASIK. They also know they've given their children myopia either through genetics or through the pressure they put on their kids to succeed. And they truly view myopia as a disease much more than I do. You know, when I have to tell a parent that their child has progressed in myopia diopter and the parent starts crying in my chair, that's a certain type of family that really views myopia as a disease, as opposed to someone who comes in and their child needs new soft contact lenses. They've progressed 2 diopters, 3 diopters, and they say, just give me a prescription and I'll get it filled at Costco. That is a very different family to manage. It's not that one is better than the other, but I think in order for you to be successful in the business of myopia management, you have to understand that differentiation. So how do we do business, right? What is the business of myopia management? The good news for me, the business of myopia management translates to extremely good care. I always prided myself in the care I provided. Even when I was a graduate, every time I removed a foreign body, to this day, I still call patients. But as reimbursements got involved, I noticed I was getting reimbursed less and less, and certainly not getting reimbursed for calling patients, emailing patients, speaking to patients about their family and dogs and pets, etc. And I wasn't getting reimbursed with that. I was capitated, if you will. So why did I grow it? How did I grow it? Number one, I realized even though OrthoK is approved, has no age approval, I only fit children. Sure, I could fit adults, I could fit hyperops and myopes and presbyopes, but I only fit children. I narrow my focus. Remember Mario Andretti? I have my eye on the road. Number two is you have to understand this requires frequent visits. You know how glaucoma treatment, you're required to follow them a certain amount? Well, myopia management, the way I do it, I follow them every 3 months. Why? Because most of the parents want to know, are their children progressing? And I don't want to be surprised 6 months or a year in. Now, once I reach stability, I may extend it to 6 months, but I don't go more, because remember, they did not come to me to see clearly without glasses. That's just a byproduct. They came to me to manage their child and their myopia. So you need communication in between visits. So if you want to be successful in myopia management, in the business of myopia management, you need to understand these three facts. The primary fact is you need to correspond with your patients before, during, and after. The other thing is I differentiate marketing versus advertising. Advertising is what we think of as marketing, right? It's Google optimization. And your website provider says, hey, I can get you #1 on a Google search, Facebook ads, brochures, websites. Every practitioner wants a brochure or an ad that brings people into their office. I'm going to tell you, there's none that exists. And if there was, you couldn't handle it. So what I realized is I need to make my practice, my care worthy of talking about amongst parents. And that's how I built literally a 7-figure, multi-million-dollar practice that's based on myopia management. It's not by ads. There's no brochure, there's no letter, there's no Google optimization that's going to make you busy in myopia management. And let's say by one chance, which has happened to me when I was younger, you place an ad and your phone rings, you're in deep trouble. Because what happens? People start calling, and your poor receptionist, he answers the phone. Thank you for calling Eye Care Professionals. Nick speaking. May I help you? It's like, yeah, I read about this stuff, Orthokeratology. Does insurance cover it? I don't know. What insurance? No insurance. How come it doesn't cover it? Is it safe? Your poor receptionist, they're checking people in, they're answering other phone calls, and the questions keep coming. Remember, the family interested in managing their child's myopia often has a lot of questions. They'll ask, is it safe? Is it permanent? Does it qualify for a flex spending account? And the questions go on and on and on. And they're very good questions. So even if by any chance your advertising worked, you would not be able to handle the volume. And if you could, your staff would quit. Because I can tell you firsthand, these phone calls that I get take time. And the way I've been able to combat that is by getting parents to talk about my practice before they call my office. So I call this raving fans from the book. How are you going to make your patients so happy they become raving fans? That's all I ask myself. And it doesn't have to be myopia management. I've taught courses and people have taken what I've taught and ran with it with low vision, with vision therapy, with their dry eye clinic. But you can't do everything well. You can do anything, but you can't do everything well. So the question I'm obsessed with is, how am I going to make my patients so incredibly happy with me, they become raving fans? And here's, I think, one of the biggest insights I can give you. It has nothing to do with how clearly I correct their children's vision, because that's just expected. It's as if a patient goes to you, Dr. D, I can see so clearly out of my glasses. Or Dr. D, these lenses are so comfortable. Well, they expected it. But if you talk about things that interest them that are not necessarily related to optical correction, then you become worthy of discussion. So this is one of the books that I recommend. It's old, but very good book. So I found there's 3 touch points for success that I can give you in a webinar in literally an hour. Is the consultation. I never present myopia management in its entirety during my examination, and we'll talk about why. The application and removal class is critically important because most practitioners, after the patient enlists in their program, they think their job is done. Nothing could be truer. Nothing could be not so true, right? This class is critical because that's where the buyer's remorse comes in. That's where they're like, oof, I knew my son or daughter couldn't do this. And the follow-up visits. And most practitioners, they don't commit, right? They start looking at all these walls. In between their myopia management patients, they're seeing maybe glaucoma checks, eye exams, CL checks, dry eye follow-ups. If you start squeezing your OrthoK or myopia management patients in between your ordinary patients, you're going to fail. There'll be a governor and you won't grow. It's like my scleral practice. I don't have a huge scleral practice. You know why? Because I focus on myopia management. So I do it more as a clinical intrigue, a clinical challenge, but I am not totally focused on fitting distorted corneas. I am totally focused on a pediatric population who's progressing in myopia and their parents want to do something about it. So during the consult, I offer a consultation to every myopic child. And I'm going to tell you now, only 1 out of 40 parents move to a consultation. So it's easy to see how discouraged it can be, because after I say, you know what, there's something that we may be able to do to slow your child's myopia progression. They have progressed. They can't see the big E on the wall. And the parent says, yeah, I know that. I said, there are many avenues now, myopia control techniques that we can do. I don't know if your child can do any of them, but let's set up a consultation. This is how I used to present glaucoma, right? I don't say you have glaucoma, we're going to treat you with drops. Say, listen, your pressures are high or your optic nerve looks different. We're going to do some more testing. But that's when they ask my staff, does insurance cover it? We don't accept insurance. No. They'll say, well, how much does it cost? They'll say it starts at X. Oh my gosh, why does it so much money? My staff goes through the process, and at that point, they have to decide, am I going to go get a pair of glasses? Do I just refill my contact lens prescription with a new prescription? Or do I move on to a consultation? So even in my practice, where I'm so enthusiastic about this, you could see it takes patience. Eventually, those patients come around if they view myopia and heed my advice as a disease. So I allot 1 hour, they come back, they see me. And here's the key. I start educating them long before they come in for the consultation. So if they enroll in my consultation, they've left a deposit, because I want commitment. I just want commitment. And during the consultation, I allow 1 hour. I used to be able to do 6 primary care exams in my office. I have a big office, 6,000 square feet, 7 exam rooms, and a big staff. So I have no problem doing that. Was I happy doing it? No. Was it great quality care? In hindsight, no. Now I see one patient and I'm totally vested in that patient. And I certainly correspond with them after the consultation. I also give snacks. And you have to realize, just because a parent is interested in controlling the child's myopia doesn't mean their child is going to be interested in wearing a contact lens or taking atropine drops or anything like that. So I make my office like an orthodontic office. It is fun. I have prizes, I have chalk, I have water balloons, I have books, I have Pokemon cards. I have so much stuff in my back office that kids rave about it, where placing a hard contact lens in their eye still is scary as all poop. But I have to tell you, it becomes secondary because they're saying this is fun. And this doctor is speaking to me, and this doctor is explaining everything to me, and then talking to my parents afterwards. So I make the child feel safe. And I certainly, as these parents are jotting down notes, I say, listen, you don't have to jot down notes. You're going to get a full report afterwards that summarizes not only my findings, but my recommendation. So it puts the parent at ease. Fees are very interesting. Everybody who attends my courses says, how much should I charge? I don't know. Down the street, they charge this much. I practice in California. It's very competitive. I practice in here and there. And I have to tell you, in doing this for 20 years, fees, presentation, how much you charge is counterintuitive. I have found the higher fee that you charge, the more successful you will be. Because in order to charge the higher fees, you have to present value. It's not, remember, if you're just presenting clear vision without glasses, Yeah, you better compete on fees because that's what everyone is providing. A contact lens that promises clear vision when you remove it. That's the basic. What I have found, if you want to be successful in any subspecialty, you got to go far beyond just addressing their dry eye. You have to make them feel special. So, for example, let's use Apple because everybody uses Apple. I buy an Apple phone, I buy an Apple TV, I have an Apple computer that I'm speaking from. Why? They make me feel a certain way. We all know the competitors are even sometimes better as far as their products, but it's the way I feel when I buy an Apple product, it's the way I am treated. So if you're not careful and you start doing myopia management as if it's just fitting an OrthoK lens, you're going to have a lot of trouble because that's what I encountered is that even though my gross revenue went up because these are higher ticket items as you get better at it, is that my profitability was going down because of all these questions. So what you're looking at is in April of this year, this parent shares with me on Google Sheets their child's success on whether they've put in a contact lens that night or not, and which eye they put it in, and she highlights it for me in red. Now, just think of the enormity of this. They have the ability to share a Google Sheet with me. How many physicians do you know that you can share anything with them? You can't even email them without going through the portal. And then she writes me notes. So this is the helicopter parent, highly intelligent and very, very nervous. So this is my point to either say, holy crap, I'm getting out of this. I didn't sign up for this. I just thought I was fitting an OrthoK lens, or this is my opportunity to shine. And the reason I'm successful, and if you want to be successful in the business of myopia management, you need to get great at this, not good at this, great at this. Because if you don't, what you're going to do is get busier maybe, but just give yourself a lot of headaches. This is another spreadsheet that a student is keeping, and she's checking her visual acuities every morning and every evening. I'm just fortunate she's doing it binocularly. I don't know how. This has become more popular recently. I'm assuming there's an app on their stupid phone that they're allowing them to check their VA, and the parent feels that this is their kind of obligation. I'm bringing you to correct my child's vision. Well, I want to see how it's doing. So again, if you don't anticipate this, if you don't know that this is part of myopia management, you're going to go, oh my goodness, what's going on here? And this happens all the time. So that's why I said it is a true niche. Sure, there'll be soft contact lenses that control myopia progression. There are soft contacts. They're going to be glasses. But the key finding here for everybody listening to me is that you're just controlling myopia, and that's a very select group. The parent that is so nervous about their child's myopia progression is this parent. And you either have to learn to get great at it, or you know what? You better listen to Mario Andretti and pick another road. Because I have found doing this for over 20 years, this is my life. I've gotten very good at it, and I actually enjoy treating patients like I always wanted to. So with fee presentation, people always ask me, is there a prepayment discount? Is there a sibling discount? How about if I pay you cash, Dr. D? Can I bill because delay billing because I kind of didn't know that it was going to cost so much, and I want to pay you now, but I want you to bill me next year because I could put money in my flex spending account. So I've tried all this crap, and it just doesn't work. I have found the Apple philosophy to be the best. This is the price. This is the price everybody pays, and this is the price you will pay if you come to my office, because you're not buying the contact lens, you're buying our service. And our service is not worthy of discount because I'm not going to discount my care. And this has worked because I've tried discounting 5%, 10%. And if you were statistically savvy, you would see for every 10% that you reduce your fees, you have to grow much more than 20% to make up for the loss in revenue. And that's why I think Hubble contacts and all these these companies that we try to compete with, they understand this. We're just eye physicians. We just want to do the best possible for our patients. Yet we start playing business people and start discounting left and right, accepting reduced reimbursements for insurance companies because that's going to increase our volume. What we don't realize, just a 10% reduction in our fees, we have to do 30 to 50% increase in volume just to make the same amount. And that's why so many ODs and eye professionals are just selling at this point. Even if they have multiple locations and multi-seven-figure gross revenue, they're saying, you know what? I'm working way too hard for way too long. I want out. Just see the opposite view. We're happy. I see 1 patient an hour for a consult. I see 3 patients an hour for checks. My patients appreciate me. I feel good about what I do. So you could see I can do this well into my 70s and 80s if my partners allow me to, which is questionable. So step 2 is this application removal, right? It is so stressful. You know, Dr. Tulo, who's the medical director here, we talked about it's very stressful to teach a young boy or young girl how to put in lenses. It's stressful for the patient, it's stressful for the parent, it's stressful for the staff. And like I said, there's buyer remorse here. So if you don't learn to be great at this spot, what's going to happen is your staff is going to get stressed. Parents may ask for a refund. You're going to have to do multiple insertion and removal classes. So I've gotten very good at it. So this is what used to happen. The child puts in the lens, I can't see, I can't do this, it hurts, I want my money back is what the parents have. This would happen, I would say maybe 10% of the time when I was younger. Now this rarely happens. It doesn't even happen once a year because I've learned how to deal with this. And if you want to call that the business of myopia management, I got very good at business. I tell every patient, not only during their consultation, they get snacks and chalk and water balloons and Pokemon cards, that when you come back, if you successfully watch the videos we're going to send you and you do your homework, get the term homework, you're going to get a $30 Amazon gift card. Do you know what Amazon is? And the child goes, hell yeah, I know what Amazon is. You get to spend it on whatever your parents allow you to. They've never had that. So now they're doing their homework. See, I call it homework before they come in for their insertion removal, knowing if they do it 3 times on their own, not with their parents' help, they get $30 they can buy something on Amazon. They get several snacks during the insertion removal class. We control the nervous parents. Now it's very easy with COVID. They sit in our reception room, which has no patients right now because of COVID. And on the 3rd insertion removal attempt, we let them videotape it. So this way they haven't missed anything, but at least we can concentrate on this child without the parents kind of helicoptering over them. And on the 3rd one, we let them videotape it because they were videotaping it anyway. So we made it part of our system. So in case the child forgets a step or 2 that night, they'll watch the video. And we limit it to about an hour and a quarter, hour and a half would be, they just need a lot of hand-holding. And we just reschedule it. We tell the parent, listen, we tried, we'll do the next one in the morning. We're going to do better homework. We give the homework. We use the word homework because that's what they're used to at school. The follow-ups, I am telling you, is the key to my success. That is true marketing. I allow time for questions. It's as simple as that. People always want, well, how much do you charge? Do you spiff your staff? Do you give discounts? Do you spiff patients for referring to you? All these gimmicks, if you will. How about if I was to tell you and be so brutally honest, the best care you provide is your marketing. That's how difficult it is, and that's how easy it is. So I just allow time for questions, and I email all my specialty care patients, all of them, after every visit. Now I see 100 follow-up visits in a week easily. I only do myopia management. I see patients on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. My partner sees patients on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. My other partner sees patients Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. So we're a busy myopia management practice. We follow up with every parent. Even though we have allowed time for questions, remember, they demand that attention. So what do we follow up with? Well, we talk about the side effects of smartphone use. It's not just axial length. It's things that really ring true to parents. It's like my kids tethered to their stupid phone. They're always watching YouTube. My kid has virtual remote learning. He's in first grade. Is that bad for his eyes? My kid doesn't sleep. He or she goes to sleep at 11 o'clock. He's 12 years old. Is that okay? I talk about posture. Should they be in bed with their laptop on their lap? And I always talk about self-directed play. I don't just say, go outside and play. I said, they got to play with other kids. They have to fight with other kids. They have to learn to get along with other kids. And they can't be just shuttled to soccer field, to the baseball field, to the piano class, to the karate class. Now, no health professional that I know of spends the time to talk about this. So you can see how I've made raving fans. It's I care enough to talk about what parents are most concerned about in addition to their myopia. So good marketing can sell once, like a good brochure, but only a good product can sell twice. My product is me, is our care. It's not the OrthoK lens. In the long run, your performance reverts to the value you provide. Listen, you got to follow James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits. He's extremely insightful, and I'll quote him again later. So this is another great book I recommend. So why am I talking about Oculus? Well, it's because I bought a Pentacam during the pandemic. And not only was I intrigued by the technology, I've always wanted a Pentacam, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I didn't want to invest the amount of money that I knew it would cost me. And then I met the people behind the company. And that's what sold me. Because you can fit many contact lenses, you can fit many glasses, you can buy many instruments. But what you're really buying is not the instrument or the frame or the lens. It's the people behind the company, bar none. We all know this. So I took this quote from a Google group, OrthoK Google group, and I'll talk about vision by design in a second. And someone put this out. I know not all doctors have a Pentacam, but it is really amazing how many mild cones it gets missed. So the Pentacam is not a topographer, it's a tomographer, right? So it allows me to see not only the anterior cornea, but to visualize the posterior cornea with software. So I can see ectasia. Why is that important to me? I just finished telling you, I see thousands of cases of myopia management. I would miss a cone maybe once a year. And if you want my stomach to turn, when I wash someone out and I see a cone, I have to explain to a parent that it wasn't their OrthoK lens that did it. And now I have to fit them with a scleral lens. You know, it just turns my stomach because I've dropped the ball. And it's happened to me. It happened to me long ago, 25 years ago when I was doing LASIK, and I swore anything I could do to avoid it, I would. So in the Pentacam, the reason I bought it without any discounts at all is that, number one, it is a great quality product, but has a great team behind it. And now I've had it going on a full year, and that's why I'm speaking for Oculus. Two, I've always fit Wave. Oculus bought Wave. I fit many OrthoK lenses, and they all do a great job. The one I focus upon is the one whose company supports my practice the best. And sometimes it doesn't stay that way. So let's say about Wave. It wasn't a company for me, but I love their product. Oculus buys it. They have tremendous support. I mean, you know how easy it is for us to feel like we're not understanding what the hell we're doing sometimes? And if the person on the phone makes us feel embarrassed because we don't know exactly as much as we feel we should know, that is kind of covert hostility. It's their insecurity on us. They say, you should know this. Never felt that way with Wave. It's a sophisticated system that allows me to manipulate the optic zone, every curve. So not only am I able to provide a very high quality lens for a patient, I'm able to explain it to the parent that this is no ordinary generic OrthoK lens. So it's a customized design. I've fitted for 20 years, but now that a company that I value behind it, we're fitting it a lot more. I am telling you, I can name the customer service rep, the president of Oculus, the president of Wave. I know these people by first name. It's not because my name is Nick Despotidis. That's how they run their company. Because the company that owned Wave beforehand didn't treat me that way. And that's why I increased my business with Wave. And I appreciate the honesty, because I hate, and I know you hate, is when something goes wrong and they say to you, you're the only practice that had this problem. Whenever a company tells me that, and I've heard that often, I know they're not being honest with me. Wave has been extremely honest with me, as has been OCULUS. I bought a Myopia Master after I bought a Pentacam. Again, the full price that you would pay. Why? Because I wanted to take axial length, but I wanted it accurate. I wanted it easy, and I wanted it to apply to a report that I always gave, remember, after the consultation. So I read this review on Myopia Profile. I love the ease of using the Myopia Master. It gives you a really accurate reading of axial length. If the signal strength is no good, it will either discard it or won't give you a reading. It takes up to 6 measurements per eye. My staff learned this literally after the person came to our office and trained us. So there is a learning curve, of course, but I have to tell you, I haven't had to get it repaired once, but I had a lot of questions. So the company has stood behind their product. The reason Myopia Master was so important to me is not only the accuracy, is it comes with a report. And this report to me is critical because they use the statistics provided by the Brian Holden Vision Institute, and they apply it to my patient's data. And this company has been so good, is I said, I like this report, but it could be so much more. Before I know it, Leslie, who's on this webinar, gets on a call at 6 in the morning with me. Carver, who I know, gets on this call. I had no idea they're on the West Coast, gets on the call with me. Dr. Tulo, he comes to my office. He sees my report. You may say, oh, Nick, you have a busy practice. Well, I got to tell you, I had a busy practice when I dealt with other companies. No one came to my office. Just like you, I looked at different ACE scans. No one came to my office. No one. I had to buy it through a distributor. I bought this because I bought it directly from Oculus. I don't work for Oculus. I'm not even getting paid for today's honorarium. It is exchange in value that I'm providing to Oculus for what they provided for me through the years. So I'm going to give you this quote from this book, The Power of Regret. People regret many things, and I've heard you can digest success, right? You have a win, and then it fades. You can even digest failures. You feel like a failure, you digest it. But I have to tell you, regret is very hard to digest. In other words, you can't forget it. I regret things I did when I was younger that I just wasn't bold enough to do. I think myopia management, you need to be bold, because you need to do bold things like make time for patients, buy equipment, drop insurance plans, things like that take boldness. So in this book, they talk about that most people regret failures of boldness, failure to be bold. I am going to tell you that I am successful in many ways, not because I don't have fear. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of fear, but I act despite the fear. And I think that is being bold. And when you do take on myopia management, I found this to be the case, again, from the book Atomic Habits, is that you decide, I'm going to get a Pentacam. I'm going to fit Wave. I'm going to do this. Nick motivated me, go, go, go. And all of a sudden, you expect that linear curve, that expected results. Like, I got all this equipment. I listened to Nick. I should just grow my practice, just like he said. But as you know, if you've ever been on a diet, if you ever raised kids or anything worth having in life, right, is that what happens is there's a valley of disappointment. And that's where most people stop. That's where, you know what? And that's why we start doing dry eye. And when it doesn't take off, we switch over to maybe myopia management. And when that doesn't take off, I got to get better with billing and coding. It's that valley of disappointment that James Clear refers to, is when the people lack character and just don't keep going. I am here to tell you that you will be incredibly successful, but you have to make the bold decisions. And to that end, I want to tell you about Vision by Design. This is a symposium that I've attended since its inauguration, literally since its inception, I should say. I would say it was probably 2001, 2002. So it was so long ago, I can't even remember. And this symposium allows me not only to learn about myopia control, like axial length, and how to fit a lens, and topography, and how to read a topography, but it is the colleagues amongst ourselves that we get to talk and saying, hey, do you accept insurances? I hear this Nick screaming I should drop them, and this other speaker said they did it. And you speak to people and you develop boldness. So what I benefit from going to Vision by Design every year is not what I learn. It's the people I meet or the people I listen to, and I get inspired just by their talking. Now there's many impersonators. There's virtual. You can come to this myopia symposium and do it virtually. And coincidentally, they're often weeks before this symposium. It happened before the pandemic. But what you don't have that Vision by Design offers is clinicians. This is a dying art. Clinicians are a dying art. We are a dying art. It's like we need speakers, we need researchers desperately. But clinicians are a different breed. We need people to tell us, how does it feel in the exam room? Because if you believe me, myopia control is not the end product. It's myopia management. I strongly recommend that you sign up for Vision by Design. And this year it's in Bellevue, Washington. It's in September 28th through the October 2nd. They have a boot camp. They have great speakers. And I'm telling you, the benefit you're going to get is not only the speakers, because you could get that pretty much anywhere these days. What you're going to get is the camaraderie, the collegiality in the hallway, in the vendor area. So I know it's probably inconvenient, you got to fly there, but I got to tell you, that builds leverage. So this is a sample boot camp schedule. It talks about the epidemiology of myopia, options for myopia control, on and on and on. That's where I learned, and I'm going to be attending boot camp myself because topography is my Achilles heel. I'm still not as good of it. That Pentacam is always challenging me to be better, so I will be in boot camp. I'll be speaking at boot camp. There's a general session that starts Friday. This is where you get the clinicians, but we also get the PhDs, the researchers who talk about the research, the cutting edge research that they have found that's applicable to the clinic. And then I offer my Supercharge course there. So I'm very proud of this because I've been offering this course since 2006. So you do the math. And I only offer it once a year, and I only offer it during the Vision by Design. The only difference this year is I used to offer it at night, and it would go to 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And I made it inconvenient for people to come. I made it on a Tuesday, and I made it all-day course because I don't talk about what I do like I did tonight. I go down to the nitty-gritty, how I do it, and then during the workshop, you decide how you're going to do it because you're not Nick Despotidis, and you shouldn't do it exactly how I do it, but you should learn what you would do in your office so you're successful. So yes, I teach you how to develop fees in your practice, and how do you market in your practice, and how do you deal with patients in your practice. It's different for all of us. I also talk about staff and leadership to nauseam because I am only as good as my staff. And my staff has made me successful. It also brings me the joy of my life. And that wasn't always the case. They were the bane of my existence 25 years ago. And I found they weren't the problem, I was the problem. So I talk about how do you hire staff? How do you train staff? How do you keep staff happy so they don't move on to the next hourly wage that's higher than what you're offering them? And I really do I pride myself on the journal because the journal is a timeline that each attendee documents as they're going through my workshop. So each time you're like, that would be nice, but I'm not going to do that. So you make it a C. but you're like, man, this is going to kill it in my office. You make it an A. So when you get back to your office, you know what happens. Your staff quits. Your patient gets an ulcer. There's a leak in the roof, and all of a sudden, the symposium we just attended just is forgotten. But it doesn't happen with Supercharge because you have this journal that's just a few pages thick. It has your handwriting with your goals and your timeline that you spent when you invested in the time spending in this course that's in Washington State, that was all day, that was inconvenient as hell. So I have leverage on you to make sure when you get back, the goals you set during the workshop, you're going to follow through on. And that's why it has lasted the test of times. And if you go to my website, superchargeyourpractice.com, you'll read the testimonials that I'm so proud of. You'll see videos. It is an expensive workshop, and it's worth every penny of it. And I give it a money back guarantee. So it's like we said earlier, the value I provide supersedes anything that you'd ever expect long after the workshop is over. So to that end, I'm going to close, I'm going to take questions, and I'm going to leave you with a quote. It's when we are making hard choices that we become the authors of our lives. That's Ruth Chang. Thank you very much. I hope you benefited from tonight's webinar.
Wow, Nick, that's a lot. Thanks so much.
It's a
That
lot.
was a lot for me to digest, and a lot for the audience also. That's really great information.
Thank you.
Um, we have a few minutes for questions, so let me ask you a couple of questions. And I'm going to start out by just some basic myopia management questions. We talked a lot about OrthoK, and I know a lot of people who do myopia management do primarily OrthoK, but do you do only OrthoK, or do you also do soft multifocals, atropine?
That's a really good question. I do all of it, but it's 99% OrthoK. It's my philosophy. So if a child won't let us put a lens in, 5 years old, I'll put them on atropine, explain to the parents that this is just a stopgap, that it's dose dependent. So I'm probably going to have to increase the dose, and I want to keep the child on it until the child is ready to go into a contact lens. If the prescription is outside the parameters that I feel comfortable fitting with OrthoK, I fit them with a soft multifocal lens. But both my sons continue, they're adults. My sons are now 30 and 34. They continue to wear them. I'm a believer. I've seen the results myself. So my practice is biased towards OrthoK, but we do all types of myopia management. And when glasses become available, we'll also offer that to our patients.
So Nick, without discussing your or anyone else's fees in particular, do you do tier pricing as far as the complexity of OrthoK, or do you have a flat fee no matter if it's a -1 or a -9?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I really do think I presented tier pricing in 2006. I've always done it. I recommend it. And it's not only based on the patient's Ks and RX. It's based on their age. It's based on their personality type. We're trained that, oh, okay, -1s, -2s are straightforward. Anybody who does OrthoK will tell you they're not straightforward. Same thing with soft multifocal. How many patients have you fit? And you said, this should be a slam dunk soft multifocal
Right.
toric fit. And they didn't seem that picky during the evaluation. And then you're pulling your hair out on the 6th visit that they're telling you their vision's not clear at distance or near. So remember, I'll do soft multifocals, but I charge the same tiered fee as I would an OrthoK program.
So do you have a bundled price for, like, if someone's going to only do atropine or only do soft multifocal because they're not ready for OrthoK for whatever reason? Do you have different fees, or do you have a package fee and you can just switch them, or how does that
Yeah,
work?
that's a really good question. I have a bundle for multifocal and OrthoK. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
With my OrthoK program, it's 2 years. With my multifocal soft, it's 2 years. You get 2 sets of lenses, OrthoK lenses, when I'm all done fitting you. So you have a backup set that are duplicates. In multifocals, I give them a 2-year supply, so they don't have to buy contacts for 2 years. The first year, I focus on perfecting the fit. The second year, I monitor their refraction and their axial length to see if I have good myopia control.
Excellent. After the 2 years, I assume there's some ongoing lesser
Yeah.
fee for
Yep.
managing their fit? Is it an annual thing that you see them 2 to 4
Yeah,
times, or is it a
yeah,
one time?
that's really good. I don't know if they're your questions to the audience. I hope it's the audience, but they're really good questions. Is year 3, they have a choice. They could pay per visit, which is my visit fee, and it's out of pocket, or I bundle it with a comprehensive eye exam and 4 checks. So patients always ask me, what should I do? Year 3, I always say, you need to get the plan. I need to keep monitoring. Your son's now 12 years old. It's going through puberty, whatever the case is. Now, if the child is in college or high school and they've been wearing the lens for 5, 10 years, everything seems stable, including the fit and the cornea. I see them biannually, and they'll get a choice. And at that point, they may say, I'll go to my vision care provider to get the eye exam, and I'm okay with it. But in the beginning, I really like that control where I'm looking at their retina, I'm looking at their lattice. I really don't feel comfortable, ophthalmology or optometry, when someone's not viewing the retina like I am. And that's a pet peeve of mine, because all my practice is myopes.
Hmm.
And the amount of holes I see and the amounts of lattice I see outside the lattice, inside the lattice, gets me nervous. So I try to tell patients, listen, come to me for a few years until things are stable, and then you'll go to your primary eye doctor.
Excellent, excellent answer. Here's another good question. What minimal equipment or capital investment would I need to start a myopia practice, and is axial length really necessary?
It varies tremendously who you ask. The minimum, bare minimum, is a corneal topographer. I think that is like your refractor. So at minimum, you need a corneal topographer. It's just, I think that's malpractice to practice any type of refractive care without it. And the A scan is controversial. I don't think it's absolutely necessary, but I'm not in the majority. I think to get started with minimal investment, you start with a corneal topographer, and you need some type of trial fitting lenses, in my opinion, because my system is based on trying an RGP lens on the child's eye during the consultation, because that's going to allow you to judge what tiering they're in. If a child just walks in with the RGPs in and says, yeah, I can see, as opposed to a child that starts crying and a mother who starts crying at the same time, and I'm having trouble taking out the lenses, that's a totally different tier. So at minimum is a corneal topographer and some type of high quality fitting set that you fit your patients with. So those are the 2 minimums.
Nick, do you have an opinion? I know we don't have them yet, but we'll have them soon, as far as the myopia management spectacles that are available outside US. Do you have any thoughts how that would work in your practice, or
Yeah, I
wait and
think
see?
I think they're going to be a great tool. I have a lot of children with Asperger's, autism, or just parents that just can't deal with their child even thinking of putting on a contact lens, soft RGP. They would be a great, the spectacles that are being made now, the research that I'm reading on, they're effective in controlling myopia progression. So it will definitely be a part of my practice. And I have a competitive edge because I dropped those vision plans long ago. And parents are going to ask, is it covered by American Vision? And then you have to do the song and dance. And that's why I dropped the insurance plans, because the focus went from the child and their myopia progression to whether the insurance plan covers whatever I recommend. It could be punctal plugs or anything that I'd recommend.
And I have one final question that just came in, and this goes along. I know you'll have a good answer for this. Any suggestions on how to handle insertion and removal for that very sensitive patient that challenges you on the insertion and removal? Do you use anesthetics, or how do you handle the really difficult insertion removal trainings?
Yeah, it starts before the INR. You have to get leverage. And I would say at least 50% of my patients are these difficult insertion and removal classes. So you start beforehand, you send them videos, you send them a video. So many manufacturers have good videos of the application and removal process of a child doing it. We give them lubricating drops at the consultation, and we give them homework. You got to apply this lubricating drop 4 times a day before you come back for your lesson. If you don't practice, you're not going to get it. And then we have the parent videotape them, because parents lie. In the beginning, the kid's putting it anywhere but their eye. So we kind of keep the parent accountable. So you got to start beforehand. You'll know at the consultation, this is going to be a pickle here. And sometimes we'll tell the parent we have 1, 2, or 3. The technique I learned, I definitely use anesthetic. We're not afraid of anesthetic. We need to get the kid over the hump of fear to learn the insertion and removal process. If it's not going well and they've had 1, 2, 3 classes, we have developed really good techniques of just fitting them with the soft lens in the beginning and letting them sleep with it for a week. It's a night and day lens, or it's an FDA approved lens, just to get the kid over the fear of something in their eye. And they get to see these -4 kids have no idea. They're walking around with severely undercorrected glasses. We get this soft lens in, kid sees, parents are happy, parents are crying with happiness, child is happy that they don't have to touch it. We give them snacks, we order Pokemon cards, we do the whole game. And I haven't had any kid unable to do it. And if they are, I start them on atropine, and then within 6 months or a year, we get them into an RGP lens.
That's a great answer. I think that would work for just about any child, no matter how concerned they were in the beginning. So Nick, thanks so much. I mean, we could probably go on all night with questions and answers, and I want to respect your time and the audience's time.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic webinar. This webinar will be available on recording. We'll send out that email to all the people who registered. And just one more time, I want to thank Dr. Nick Despotidis for a great presentation tonight.
Thank you.
And everybody have a great evening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.